I found the note on my kitchen counter that morning, white paper, black ink, my mother's handwriting. Wedding's off. Your father and I won't be attending. Expect a call from my lawyer regarding the $127,000 loans. Mom and Dad. No phone call, no text, just a note. My hands were shaking as I read it again and again, 7 times total, searching for some sign this was a cruel joke. It wasn't. Hi, I'm Jennifer Taylor. I'm 34. I work as a financial analyst in Boston, and for the last 8 years, I've been my family's personal ATM. If you've ever felt like you're the one everyone calls when they need money, but never when they just want to talk, drop a comment below saying me, because what I'm about to share will change how you think about family boundaries forever. 27% of Americans have cut off contact with at least one family member, but only 3% know how to do it strategically. This isn't a story about being a victim. This is a masterclass in what happens when you stop playing by their rules and start protecting yourself. Stay until the end, because I promise you'll learn exactly how to identify toxic family patterns, gather evidence that holds up legally, and walk away with your dignity and your money intact. And if this resonates with you, hit subscribe. You're not alone in this. It started with a phone call 8 years ago. 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. My mother's voice, shaky and urgent. Jenny, honey, we need $15,000. The roof is leaking, and we need it fixed before Sunday. Can you transfer it tonight? I was 26, fresh out of grad school, making decent money but still paying off student loans. But family is family, right? That's what I'd been taught my entire life. Family helps family. Family sacrifices. Family doesn't ask questions. So I transferred the money. Then came the next call, and the next, and the next. Car broke down, need $5,000. Medical emergency, need $12,000. Property tax due, need $8,000. Every time, the same pattern. Urgent, immediate. We'll pay you back, sweetie, we promise. 8 years, $127,000, not a single dollar paid back. But I told myself stories to make it okay. They raised me. They sacrificed for me. This is what good daughters do. I was the successful one, making 6 figures as a financial analyst. I could afford to help. What I didn't see then, what took me almost a decade to recognize, was the pattern. According to recent research on family dynamics, 52% of Americans say money is the single biggest factor negatively affecting their mental health. I was one of them, but I couldn't admit it yet. My mother never asked about my life, not about my job, not about my friends, not about Ryan, the man I'd been dating for 3 years. Every conversation started the same way. How's your bank account looking, my brother David? He'd borrowed $22,000 2 years ago for a business startup. The business never existed. When I asked about it, he laughed. You're making bank, Jen. You don't need it. Every time I hesitated, every time I suggested maybe waiting a month or setting up a payment plan, the guilt trip started. After everything we've done for you, we gave up our dreams so you could go to college. Family takes care of each other, or don't you love us anymore? The manipulation was so subtle, so embedded in every interaction that I couldn't see it. I was drowning in it, mistaking it for love. But there were signs, red flags I ignored because acknowledging them meant admitting my family was broken. Red flag number 1, financial manipulation. My parents never set repayment dates, never put anything in writing, never acknowledged the loans as loans. When I'd mention the money, my mother would get vague. Oh, we'll figure it out, honey, don't worry about it. Red flag number 2, Emotional blackmail. Every attempt to set a boundary was met with nuclear guilt. When I suggested they talk to a financial advisor instead of always coming to me, my father didn't speak to me for 6 weeks. Red flag number 3, information control. I discovered by accident, through an old iPad I'd given my mother, that there was a family group chat called Family Updates. I wasn't in it. I scrolled through months of messages, vacation plans I wasn't invited to, discussions about inheritance where my name never appeared, and one message from my mother that made my blood run cold. Jennifer earns $120K a year. She can afford to help. Don't tell her about the savings account. They had $80,000 in savings, while borrowing money from me for emergencies. Red flag number 4, isolation. Don't mention this to Ryan, my mother would say, after every money request. He won't understand. This is family business. Red flag number 5, double standards. David could forget my birthday, skip family dinners, disappear for months. No consequences. I missed one Sunday lunch because I had the flu, and I got a lecture about forgetting where I came from. Red flag number 6, public humiliation disguised as jokes. At family gatherings, my mother loved to tell stories about how Jennifer thinks she's so important now with her fancy job, or Jennifer's too good to help out like she used to. Red flag number 7, secret keeping. Beyond the hidden savings account, I later discovered my parents had purchased a $45,000 RV last year, the same year they borrowed $15,000 from me for home repairs. If you're recognizing 3 or more of these patterns in your own family, pause this video, take a breath, subscribe to this channel because you'll need the resources we share. And know that recognizing these signs isn't betrayal, it's survival. The note about my wedding shouldn't have surprised me, but it did, 72 hours before my wedding. That's when they chose to blow everything up. I came home from my final dress fitting at 8 p.m. The house was dark. Ryan was working late. I flipped on the kitchen light and saw it. White paper, black ink. My mother's perfect cursive handwriting. I sat down on the kitchen floor and read it 7 times. Each word burned into my brain. My hands were trembling. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The physical reaction was overwhelming, that gut punch feeling when reality suddenly realigns and everything you thought you knew tilts sideways. The first emotion was denial. This has to be a mistake. They're angry about something. I can fix this. Then anger. After 8 years of giving them everything they asked for, this is how they repay me? But the anger faded fast, replaced by something unexpected. Clarity. I sat on that kitchen floor for 20 minutes, and my brain, trained by years as a financial analyst, started processing this like a case study. Every late-night call, every guilt trip, every time they praised David for doing nothing while criticizing me for not doing enough. This wasn't the first betrayal. This was just the first one I couldn't explain away. 2 years ago, they forgot my birthday, completely. I called them that evening, and my mother sounded irritated. "Oh, was that today? We've been busy." Meanwhile, David had thrown himself a birthday party the month before, a party I wasn't invited to because, as my mother explained later, "You were working so much, we figured you wouldn't come." Last year, I had an emergency appendectomy. I was in the hospital for 3 days. Ryan called my parents to let them know. They never visited, never called. When I asked about it later, my father said, "We figured you were fine. The hospital would have called if it was serious." These weren't isolated incidents. This was a pattern a systematic devaluation that I'd been trained since childhood to accept as normal. The breakthrough moment, sitting on that kitchen floor, was realizing that this note wasn't about the wedding. It was about control. They were losing it. I was getting married, building a life separate from them, and for the first time in my adult life, I'd started saying maybe next month instead of yes to their money requests. So they hit the nuclear button, cancel the wedding, threaten legal action, force me back into the scared, compliant daughter role. But something had shifted. I wasn't that person anymore. I didn't cry. I stood up, opened my laptop, and I started building a case. The psychological transformation from victim to strategist doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in a series of small, deliberate decisions. My first decision: no reaction, no phone call, no tearful confrontation. Radio silence. They were expecting me to break, to call sobbing, to beg them to reconsider, to cancel the wedding and prove that their control still held. I was going to do the opposite. According to research on negotiation tactics, silence is one of the most powerful tools when dealing with manipulators. They need your reaction to feed on. Deny them that, and they start to panic. I opened a new Google Sheet, 8 years of bank statements, every transfer, every text message asking for money, every email with "We'll pay you back" in the subject line. I spent 6 hours that night documenting everything: date, amount, stated reason, actual use if I could verify it. The $15,000 for roof repairs. They'd bought a new RV 2 months later. The $12,000 for medical emergency. My father posted Facebook photos from a golf trip to Arizona the following week. The $8,000 for property taxes. I cross-referenced with public records. Their taxes were only $4,000 that year. I found text messages from my mother going back 5 years. "We'll have it back to you by June, I promise." June came and went. Multiple Junes, no repayment, no follow-up. I found the email thread from 2 years ago, a conversation between my parents and David that I'd discovered on that old iPad. "Jennifer earns $120K a year. She can afford to help. Don't tell her about the savings account." That savings account, $80,000, while they claimed financial hardship. At 3 in the morning, I called a lawyer, Rachel Adams, from a firm called Nguyen & Partners. She specialized in family financial disputes. Her voicemail said she'd call back during business hours. At 6 a.m., I called my bank. I had a joint account with my mother from when I was 18, set up for emergencies. There was $18,000 in it, money I'd deposited for actual emergencies. "I need to freeze this account," I told the banker. "There's a dispute, and I need to protect these funds until it's resolved." "Are you sure?" he asked. "Your mother is a co-signer." "I'm absolutely sure." Account frozen. At 9 a.m., Rachel called back. I explained everything. She was silent for a long moment. "Jennifer," she said finally, "what you're describing is financial abuse, combined with emotional manipulation. You have documentation, spreadsheets, emails, text messages, bank records, 8 years worth. Then you have a case, a strong one. Here's what we're going to do." 3 hours later, I sent one text message to my mother, short, cold, emotionless. "Understood. Lawyer will contact you. Account frozen pending dispute resolution." Then I turned off my phone. For 48 hours, I didn't look at it. Rachel advised me to document everything but not engage. "Let them panic," she said. "People who are used to controlling you can't handle it when you stop reacting." Ryan came home that night and found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by 8 years of financial records. I showed him everything: The note, the spreadsheet, the plan. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I've known your family was toxic for years. You never let me say it because you weren't ready to hear it. But Jen, I'm so proud of you right now." We didn't sleep much that night. We planned, we prepared, we built a strategy. Hour 12 after the note, my mother started calling, 3 calls. I didn't answer. Hour 18, my father called, 5 times. Voicemail, "Jennifer, what is this nonsense? Call us back immediately." Hour 24, Rachel sent the first official letter, formal legal letterhead. Demand for documentation of the loans. Notice of intent to pursue legal action if repayment terms weren't established within 72 hours. I imagined my parents opening that letter, the confusion, the panic, the realization that their quiet, compliant daughter had just declared war. Hour 30, David sent a text, "You're tearing this family apart." I didn't respond. Hour 36, my phone started ringing constantly. 15 missed calls, voicemails from my mother, her voice shifting from angry to confused to frightened. "Jenny, what are you doing? We were just upset. We didn't mean the note. Please call us." But I'd read the note 20 times by then. I'd memorized it. Expect a call from my lawyer. They'd thrown down the gauntlet first. I'd just picked it up. Hour 48, 67 missed calls, 39 text messages, 12 voicemails. My parents had driven to my apartment. Ryan had anticipated this and called the non-emergency police line, requesting a civil standby in case things escalated. When my parents arrived, they found a Ring camera recording everything and a note on the door. All communication through legal counsel. My mother tried the doorbell, tried the door handle, finally left another note. "Please, we need to talk." I watched it all through the Ring app, sitting on my couch with Ryan beside me. I felt nothing, no guilt, no sadness, just a cold, clinical detachment that comes when you finally see people clearly. "They're scared," Ryan observed. "Good," I said. "They should be." The silence was the weapon they never expected. They'd spent years conditioning me to respond, to explain, to apologize. Without my reaction, they had nothing to work with. No leverage, no control. Just consequences. Evidence doesn't lie. People do. For 8 years, my family had lied to me. Now it was time to let the evidence speak. I'd started collecting documentation 18 months before the wedding note, though I didn't fully realize what I was doing at the time. It started small, saving emails instead of deleting them, screenshotting text conversations, keeping a private journal about family interactions that felt wrong. By the time that note appeared, I had a comprehensive record of financial abuse. The email thread was the smoking gun. 2 years old, discovered on an iPad I'd given my mother, forgotten about, never wiped. She'd synced it to her iCloud, which meant I could see everything. The conversation was between my parents and David. Subject line, Jennifer situation. My father, "She's getting too independent," asking questions about repayment. My mother, "Don't worry, I'll handle it. She's always been the sensitive one. A little guilt goes a long way." David, "She makes $120K a year. She can afford it. Why are we even discussing this?" My mother, "Exactly. She doesn't need the money like we do. And after everything we did for her, raising her, paying for her education, she owes us." My father, "Just don't mention the savings account or the RV." I'd read that thread 50 times. Each time I felt the cognitive dissonance crack a little more. These were my parents. They loved me, except the evidence said otherwise. I created a forensic timeline, every loan request cross-referenced with their actual spending. The $15,000 for roof repairs happened in March 2021. In May 2021, they purchased a $45,000 RV. I found the bill of sale in another email, the $12,000 for a medical emergency in June 2022. My father's Facebook check-ins showed him golfing in Arizona 2 weeks later. Green fees, resort photos, restaurant reviews. The pattern was undeniable. They'd ask for money for one thing, then use it for something else entirely. Every emergency was manufactured. Every crisis was fiction. But the most damaging evidence was the loan language in their own messages. Text from my mother, March 15, 2021. We'll pay you back by June, I promise. This is just temporary. Email from my father, August 3, 2022. We'll have the money back to you by the end of the year. Thank you for helping us out of this jam. Voicemail from my mother, January 10, 2023. Jenny, we haven't forgotten about the money. We'll start paying you back once your father's bonus comes through. In Massachusetts, where we lived, the legal definition of a loan versus a gift hinges on expectation of repayment. If both parties understood the money would be returned, it's a loan. These messages proved intent to repay, which meant legally these were loans, not gifts. Rachel, my attorney, was impressed. Most people don't have this level of documentation. You could have been a lawyer yourself. I'm a financial analyst, I told her. Data doesn't lie. But documents alone weren't enough. I needed allies. People who could corroborate the pattern, who'd seen the manipulation firsthand. The first ally was unexpected. My Aunt Linda, my mother's younger sister. We'd never been particularly close, but 3 days after the wedding note, she sent me a text. Jennifer, I heard what happened. I need to tell you something. Your parents did the same thing to your cousin Sarah 5 years ago. Demanded money, cut her off when she set boundaries, threatened legal action. She paid them $30,000 to make it stop. Please don't do what she did. I called Aunt Linda immediately. We talked for 2 hours. She confirmed patterns I'd suspected, revealed others I hadn't known about. Your mother has always been controlling, Linda said carefully. Our father was the same way. Financial manipulation, emotional blackmail. I got out early, moved across the country. But your mom stayed in that pattern, and now she's doing it to you. Linda agreed to provide a written statement for Rachel. She also connected me with Sarah, who'd been through this exact scenario 5 years earlier. Sarah's story was a mirror of mine. Years of loans, sudden cutoff when she got engaged, threats of lawsuits. She'd paid them off to keep the peace, even though they couldn't prove the money was legally owed. I regret it, Sarah told me. I gave them $30,000, and they still don't talk to me. You're braver than I was. Fight this. My Uncle Tom, my father's older brother, reached out next. Your dad borrowed $50,000 from me 10 years ago, never paid it back. I stopped going to family events because of it. If you need someone to testify about their pattern of behavior, I will. Even Ryan's perspective became evidence. I'd kept him at arm's length from my family for years, but he'd observed more than I realized. First Thanksgiving I met them, he said. Your mother asked how much I made within 10 minutes of meeting me. When I said I was in tech sales, she literally calculated numbers out loud. Oh, so you're making at least 6 figures. It was creepy. He remembered the time I'd been hospitalized with appendicitis. I called your parents. Your mom's exact words were, well, the hospital will take care of her. No concern, no emotion, just dismissal. I also built a professional support network. Rachel connected me with a financial forensics expert who reviewed my documentation. This is textbook financial exploitation, he said. If this went to court, you'd win easily. My therapist, Dr. Emily Chen, provided context for the psychological patterns. What you're describing is a form of complex family trauma. The financial abuse is the symptom. The underlying issue is that they've never seen you as a separate person with your own needs. You're an extension of them, an asset to be managed. We created a communication strategy, a signal group called Team Jennifer. Rachel, Ryan, Aunt Linda, Sarah, and Megan, my best friend from college. Everyone knew the full story. Everyone was coordinated. Rule 1. No one talks to my parents or David without checking with me first. Rule 2. All information goes through the group before being shared externally. Rule 3. Unified front. If they try to split us, we shut it down immediately. Within a week of that wedding note, I'd gone from isolated and scared to supported and strategic. My family had spent years making me feel alone. Now I had proof I wasn't. You know what's going to happen next, right? Rachel asked during one of our planning sessions. They're going to try to tear me down, I said. Exactly. Flying monkeys, smear campaigns, victim playing. They'll use every manipulation tactic in the book. Are you ready? I thought about those 67 missed calls, the desperation in my mother's voicemails, the reality that their control was slipping. I'm ready, I said, and I was. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but timing is everything. 48 hours after the wedding note, Rachel sent the official demand letter. Formal legal letterhead. Certified mail. Copies to both my parents and, for good measure, to David, who'd co-signed on one of the larger loans. The letter was surgical, statement of facts, timeline of loans, copies of messages proving intent to repay. Total amount owed, $127,000. Demand for response within 72 hours, or we would proceed to court. I didn't send it immediately at hour 48. Rachel advised waiting until hour 50. Let them think the silence might continue, then hit them when they're at peak anxiety. The psychology of timing is fascinating. According to research on attention and retention, the first 48 hours are critical for establishing that you're serious. Too fast and you seem reactive. Too slow and you lose momentum. 50 hours was the sweet spot. My parents received the letter on a Friday afternoon. I know because my mother called Rachel's office 11 times that day. Rachel didn't take the calls. Protocol. By Saturday morning, the real chaos started. David showed up at my apartment. Ryan answered the door. I'd prepared him for this. Jennifer doesn't want to see you, Ryan said calmly. She's my sister. This is family business. She has a lawyer for family business now. If you need to communicate, go through official channels. David tried to push past him. Ryan, 6'2" and calm as ice, didn't budge. I'm asking you to leave. If you don't, I'll call the police for trespassing. David left, but not before shouting loud enough for the Ring camera to catch it. You're tearing this family apart, Jennifer, over money. We raised you better than this. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd threatened me with a lawyer first. But now I was the villain for actually getting one. Sunday afternoon, my mother tried a different tactic. She called my workplace. My administrative assistant, Julie, answered. This is Jennifer Taylor's mother. I need to speak with her immediately. It's a family emergency. Julie, who I'd briefed on the situation, was professional. I'm sorry, but Ms. Taylor is unavailable. If you'd like to leave a message, I can pass it along. Tell her if she doesn't call me back today, she'll regret it. Julie documented the call and forwarded the recording to me. More evidence of harassment. By Monday, the flying monkeys descended. Family members I hadn't heard from in years. suddenly cared deeply about family unity. My father's cousin texted, "Your parents are devastated. Family should forgive. You're being vindictive." An aunt I'd met twice sent a Facebook message. "I can't believe you're suing your own parents. They sacrificed everything for you." Ryan's mother received a call from mine. Ryan needs to know what kind of woman he's marrying, someone who turns on her own family over money. Each attempt was documented, each message was saved, each flying monkey was met with the same response. "This is a legal matter. Please direct all questions to my attorney." The smear campaign went public on Tuesday. My mother posted on Facebook, "Heartbroken that my daughter is suing me over money we gave her as gifts. After everything we sacrificed to raise her, praying for her to find her way back to family values." The post got 63 likes, comments from people who didn't know the full story. So sad when children forget what their parents did for them. Money ruins families, praying for healing. Kids these days are so entitled. I didn't respond, but Aunt Linda did. Her comment, carefully crafted and approved by our group. "Let's talk about the $127,000 you borrowed from Jennifer and never paid back. Let's talk about the secret savings account you hid while claiming poverty. Let's talk about Sarah and Tom and everyone else you've manipulated. The real story is very different." The Facebook post got quiet after that. 13 comments from extended family members, suddenly asking questions my mother couldn't answer without exposing herself. Wednesday, my mother tried the direct approach. She showed up at my apartment building lobby. The front desk called me. "There's a woman here claiming to be your mother. She's asking to come up." "Tell her no. Tell her if she doesn't leave, building security will escort her out." She left. But not before causing a scene loud enough that 3 neighbors mentioned it to me later. By Thursday, 72 hours after the demand letter, my parents hired their own lawyer. His name was Robert Mitchell, and according to his website, he specialized in family law and estate planning. His response letter to Rachel was aggressive. The funds in question were gifts, not loans. Our clients provided these funds out of love and familial obligation, with no expectation of repayment. The threats of litigation are baseless and constitute harassment. Rachel's response was devastating. She sent back copies of every text message, email, and voicemail where my parents explicitly promised repayment. She included the email thread about hiding the savings account. She attached statements from Aunt Linda, Sarah, and Uncle Tom, establishing a pattern of financial manipulation. Her final paragraph was surgical. "Your client's own words establish these were loans, not gifts. If you'd like to proceed to court, we welcome the opportunity to present this evidence to a judge. We suspect discovery will reveal additional assets your clients have failed to disclose. We await your response." Mitchell called Rachel 2 days later. "My clients want to settle." Rachel called me immediately. "They're scared. They know they'll lose in court. They want to negotiate." "What are they offering?" $30,000 and an apology. I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. "No, 85,000, cash, written admission that these were unpaid loans, and a no-contact agreement. That's aggressive." So was threatening to sue me 3 days before my wedding. Rachel smiled. "I'll present your terms." The next week was a game of legal chicken. My parents' lawyer came back with 40,000 and no admission of wrongdoing. Rachel countered, 85,000, written acknowledgement, no contact clause. They offered 50,000. "Take it to court," I told Rachel. "I'm not negotiating anymore." On day 10, Mitchell called Rachel back. My clients will agree to $70,000, $40,000 cash up front, $15,000 in payments over 12 months, $15,000 contingent on Jennifer not pursuing further legal action against other family members. No, I said. They're trying to control who I can sue. David owes me $22,000 separately. I want that avenue open. Rachel countered, $70,000, $40,000 cash, $30,000 in payments over 12 months. Written statement acknowledging unpaid loans, no contact clause, no restriction on future legal action. 24 hours of silence. Then Mitchell called back. My clients agree. The settlement was signed 2 weeks before my wedding. $40,000 transferred to my account the day after signing. Installment plan established. Written statement on legal letterhead. We, Susan and Robert Taylor, acknowledge that we received loans, totaling $127,000 from Jennifer Taylor between 2015 and 2023. We further acknowledge that despite promises to repay these loans, no repayment has been made. We agree to the settlement terms outlined in this agreement. The no contact clause was clear. No phone calls, texts, emails, social media contact, or third-party contact unless I initiated it first. Violations would result in financial penalties and potential restraining orders. I sat in Rachel's office and signed the papers. My hand didn't shake. I felt nothing except a quiet, cold satisfaction. How do you feel? Rachel asked. Free, I said. But the real freedom wasn't in the money. It came 3 days later. My mother violated the no contact clause within a week. A text message. We hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I forwarded it to Rachel. That's a violation, she said. We can pursue penalties. No, I said. Just send a warning. They'll stop. Rachel sent a formal letter. One more violation would result in a $10,000 penalty and immediate legal action. The text stopped. What I'd learned through this entire process was something that contradicts everything we're taught about family. Forgiveness doesn't mean tolerance. Boundaries don't mean cruelty. And walking away from people who hurt you, even if they're blood relatives, isn't revenge, it's survival. The money was important. $70,000 represented 8 years of manipulation, 8 years of my labor, 8 years of sacrifices I'd made while they lived comfortably. Getting it back was justice, but the real satisfaction came from something else entirely. It came from cousin Sarah calling me 3 weeks after the settlement. Jennifer, I need to tell you something. Watching you fight this gave me courage. I'm filing a lawsuit to get my $30,000 back, and I'm using your lawyer. It came from Uncle Tom. I never thought I'd see someone actually hold your parents accountable. You've freed all of us from their manipulation. It came from my therapist, Dr. Chen, during a session 2 months after the settlement. You've broken a generational pattern. Your future children won't grow up in this cycle. That's powerful. The wedding happened on schedule. Small ceremony, 30 people, all carefully chosen. Aunt Linda walked me down the aisle instead of my father. My vows included a line that I'd written specifically for this moment. I promise to protect us from toxicity, even when it wears the mask of family. Ryan's family surrounded us. My chosen family, the people who'd supported me through this, filled the room. There was no space for people who'd tried to control me. At the reception, Megan gave a toast. To Jennifer, who taught us that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who supports you, and who loves you without conditions. The absence of my parents wasn't a wound. It was a relief. 6 months after the wedding, I started a blog. Breaking Free, a Guide to Escaping Family Financial Abuse. I shared my story step by step, the warning signs, the documentation process, the legal strategies, the emotional journey. Within 3 months, I had 10,000 followers. Within 6 months, 20,000. Messages poured in. Your story gave me the courage to leave. I thought I was alone. Thank you for showing me I'm not. I'm gathering evidence now because of you. A year after the wedding, a publishing company reached out. They wanted to turn my blog into a book. Breaking Free became a bestseller in the family psychology category. I gave talks at conferences about family financial abuse. I consulted with therapists about recognizing manipulation patterns. The pain my parents caused became the foundation for helping thousands of people recognize their own toxic family dynamics. 2 years after the settlement, Ryan and I bought a house. The down payment came partially from the settlement money. Every time I walked through our front door, I thought about what that money represented. Not just dollars, but freedom, independence, the choice to build a life on my terms. 3 years later, we had a daughter, Emma. When she was born, I held her and made a promise. You will never grow up thinking love comes with strings attached. You will never be taught that guilt is affection. You will know boundaries are healthy, and no is self-care. 5 years after the settlement, I founded a nonprofit organization called the Boundary Project. We provided legal resources, therapy connections, and financial planning support for people escaping family financial abuse. We funded by speaking fees from my book and donations from people who'd walked similar paths. The scholarship fund we established helped young adults who'd been cut off by toxic families pay for college, start businesses, or simply survive while they rebuilt their lives. 7 years after that wedding note, I gave a TED Talk. The topic, Thriving After Family Betrayal. I stood on that stage and told my story, not as a victim, not as someone bitter, but as someone who'd transformed pain into purpose. I didn't just survive my family's betrayal, I said to the audience. I used it to build a life where betrayal has no power, where boundaries are sacred, where no is self-care. You don't just survive toxic family, you thrive beyond them. The talk went viral, 4 million views in the first month, messages from every continent. But the moment that mattered most came on a random Tuesday afternoon, 7 years and 3 months after that kitchen floor revelation. Emma, now 4 years old, came home from preschool with a drawing. Mommy, I made a picture of our family. She'd drawn Ryan, me, her baby brother Jack, Aunt Linda, Uncle Ryan's parents, Aunt Megan. A house full of people who loved each other freely. Where are your other grandparents? I asked carefully, wondering if she'd ask about my parents. She looked confused. What other grandparents? She didn't know them, had never met them. They were strangers whose choices had removed them from her life before she was born. Never mind, sweetie, this is a beautiful family. And it was, not because it was perfect, but because it was chosen. Built on respect, honesty, and genuine love. Not obligation, not guilt, not manipulation. That night, I pulled out the wedding note. I'd kept it in a folder with all the documentation from that time. White paper, black ink, my mother's handwriting. I read it one final time. Then I tore it in half and threw it away. I didn't need it anymore. The anger was gone. The hurt had healed. All that remained was gratitude. Not for them, but for the strength I'd discovered when they pushed me to the edge and I chose to fight back instead of fall. If you're reading this, if you're in a toxic family situation, if you feel like you're the ATM, the scapegoat, the one who gives and gives while they take and take. Hear this. You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You are strong enough to claim it. Set the boundary. Document everything. Build your support network. Get a lawyer if you need one. And walk away if that's what survival requires. The family you're born into is chance. The family you build is choice. Choose wisely. Choose health. Choose yourself. And if you do, I promise you this. The life waiting on the other side of that boundary is more beautiful than you can imagine. This isn't an ending. This is a beginning, the beginning you've always deserved.